Are you enjoying the game today, too?
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are digging into a game that is a true legend.
We are talking about Namco's 1984 arcade classic, The Tower of Druaga. It had the same name overseas, so no confusion there.
And for anyone who was around in the 80s, this game was, well, it was more than a game. It was a phenomenon.
A problem child is what our sources call it. A game that demanded, a level of obsession that feels completely wild today.
Oh, absolutely. You had to solve these incredibly deep puzzles with, and this is the key, 0 hints.
0. It was the absolute peak of Hachimeka, that frantic, chaotic scramble for any piece of information you could find.
Right. And that's what we're analyzing today. The history, the system, and especially the versions a lot of us grew up with at home.
We're focusing on the family computer port, the FSC, and the later PC Engine version. Basically, we're here to finally give you the answers the game never wanted you to have. Okay, so let's start with the basics. This was developed by Masanobu Endo right after his huge hit, Xevious.
Yeah, and it's an action game, but it was really one of the very first action RPGs. It blended maze running with this really complex item-based character growth.
Which was so ahead of its time for 1984.
Totally. And the story was surprisingly deep. It's the first game in what's called the Babylonian Castle Saga.
The plot is pretty classic high fantasy. You play as Prince Gilgamesh, or Gil.
And you're climbing this 60-floor tower that's been taken over by the great demon Druaga.
Your mission seems simple enough. Defeat Druaga, get the blue crystal rod back, and rescue your love, the Priestess Kai, who's been turned to stone.
But the whole thing is built on this really solid foundation of Babylonian mythology. You've got figures like the god King Anu and the goddess Ishtar. It gives it a certain weight.
It really does, but the gameplay itself, on the surface, is super simple.
Deceptively simple. 4-way movement, 1 button for your sword, you find a key, you get to the door.
But that 1 button is where all the complexity comes in, with the whole sword out versus sword in mechanic.
The Bakken and Yukin states. This is absolutely critical, and the game, of course, explains none of it.
So let's break it down. Nukin is when the sword is sheathed, right?
Correct. And in that state, your shield is directly in front of you. This is the only way to block most magic spells. If you don't do it, you're just toast.
Okay, and then there's Bakken, when the sword is drawn.
When it's drawn, the shield moves to your left side. You need this to attack enemies, which is basically just body slamming them.
But your front is exposed, so you're choosing between offense and defense.
Exactly. And here's where it gets truly twisted. Some of the most important items, the ones you absolutely need to progress.
Yeah.
They only appear if you're in the vulnerable Bakken state and you let a spell hit your shield on that exposed left side.
Wait, what? So the game forces you to take a risk and get hit in a specific way just to get a power-up?
On floor 38, that's literally the only way. It's teaching you to play in a way that feels completely wrong.
That is just absurd. And that brings us to the real heart of the game, the curse of the hidden treasure box. This is why the game is so infamous.
Right. Gil needs items. He needs them to get stronger, to eventually become the Gold Knight.
But every single chest is hidden, invisible, until you perform some completely random, arbitrary action.
And I mean random. Let's talk about some examples from the sources, because they are just unbelievable.
Lay it on me.
Okay, floor 71, you're deep in. What do you think you have to do?
Kill enemies in a certain order. Touch a specific wall.
Nope. You have to press the one-player start button.
You're kidding me? The start button? In the middle of a level?
The very same one. It has no other function in the game except for that one moment.
That is just evil. What else?
Floor 51, just don't move the joystick for about 9 seconds.
Stand still while the clock is ticking and monsters are coming for you.
Just stand there. And my favorite, floor 53.
You
have to walk over a specific coordinate on the map while facing down.
How would anyone ever figure that out?
Yeah,
Seriously.
They didn't. Not alone. This created what our sources call an information crisis. It was pure 80s arcade culture.
I can just picture it. Kids huddled around the machine, putting up cardboard so no one could see their screen.
Writing notes, leaving them in the arcade for the next player. It got so bad that Namco's phone lines were completely flooded.
People were just calling them, begging for hints.
Constantly. To the point where Namco had to issue an official notice saying, please stop calling us, we're not giving out the solutions.
The community became the strategy guide, and you really needed that guide because without the right items, you were just doomed.
We're talking essential gear. The different swords, armor, the shield. But the one item that changes everything is the jet boots.
Oh, the jet boots. I remember the feeling of getting those. Suddenly you could actually move.
It doubles your speed. The game goes from being this agonizingly slow crawl to something. Well, something playable.
But without them, the time limit is just brutal, especially on that very first floor.
It's almost impossible. Honestly, playing without them is considered a self-imposed challenge run for experts. They are that critical.
So getting them is the first real test.
It is. And if you mess up, you can get hit with negative items. Evil swords, evil armors.
And the worst of all, the potion of death. What did that do again?
It just makes the timer speed up like crazy. So your reward for solving a puzzle the wrong way is that your game ends in like 20 seconds.
It forces you to start over from the beginning. That's the kind of pressure this game put on you. Just relentless.
And that warped logic applies to the enemies too. The difficulty curve is all over the place.
So it's not just the puzzles that are backwards, the enemies are too.
They absolutely are. Let's take the most basic enemy, the slime.
Okay, the classic RPG starter enemy. Weak, easy to kill.
Right. Except, if a slime is moving and it touches Gil, it's instant death.
Wait, what?
Instant death. Doesn't matter if you have the best armor, a ton of health, a moving slime will kill you in one hit.
So, you're telling me after I spent weeks getting Excalibur and the best shield, a little green blob is more dangerous than a dragon?
Functionally, yes. A dragon breathes fire, sure, but you can get a necklace to block that. A knight takes a few hits to kill, but it won't one-shot you.
But the moving slime is a guaranteed game over.
Guaranteed. And it's probably why slimes got that reputation in Japan for being, fundamentally weak. The creator, Endo, even joked that he was a war criminal for starting that trend.
That's hilarious. So the weakest enemy is actually the strongest.
In a way, yeah. And it happens with the magic users, too. The dark green slime is technically a lower rank than the dark yellow one.
Okay.
But the dark green slime only uses the most powerful spell, the one that goes through walls. The dark yellow one uses all the spells, including weaker ones.
So the one with less variety is actually more dangerous because it's only using its best attack.
Exactly. Its attack pattern is more focused, making it much deadlier. It's that same backward logic.
So the whole game is designed to be hardest at the beginning.
By far. Once you finally get all that Gold Knight gear, especially the Hyper Gauntlet, the game becomes honestly pretty easy.
Yeah.
You just steamroll everything. The real challenge is surviving the first 20 floors.
All right, let's talk about the version most of us probably played, the home console ports, specifically the family computer version from 1985.
Yeah, for a lot of us, the FC port was Druaga. It was a fantastic port, even with the obvious hardware limits like smaller maps and fewer enemies on screen.
But they made some really important changes, didn't they? Quality of life changes.
The biggest one had to do with the cursed items. This was a huge deal.
Oh, right. I remember that feeling of dread in the arcade when you picked up an evil sword by mistake. Your run was just over.
It was. But on the FCC, they changed it. If you picked up cursed gear, you could actually uncurse it later by finding the balance item.
That is so much more forgiving. It meant a single mistake on one of those crazy puzzles didn't ruin your entire game.
A necessary change for a home version, for sure, but then they added something that just doubled the nightmare.
You're talking about Druaga, the reverse tower.
The reverse tower. Once you beat the game, you could play it again, but all 60 floors had new, even more ridiculous treasure conditions.
I remember hearing about this as a kid and just not believing it. How much harder are we talking?
Well, take the gauntlet on floor 10. In the reverse tower, you had to get hit by a spell while moving, with your sword out, but only when the timer was in the red zone.
So when the super deadly will-o-wisps were chasing you.
Exactly. You needed perfect knowledge and perfect execution under a ton of pressure. It was brutal.
So was it worth it? Did you get a better ending for all that pain?
You did get the true ending, but here's a little secret about the main FC game.
Go on.
Due to a programming quirk, the blue crystal rod, the main thing Gil's supposed to be looking for,
The entire point of the quest.
it was actually useless in the final fight if you had all the Gold Knight gear. You could beat Druaga without it.
So the main MacGuffin was irrelevant. The story and the gameplay were completely disconnected.
Pretty much. And we should briefly mention the 1992 PC Engine remake. Endo called it his ideal Druaga.
What was different about it?
Stronger RPG elements, different map layouts, but the big one, the easy mode actually gave you hints for the treasure chests.
It only took them 8 years to decide players deserve to know the rules.
And one last piece of trivia, just the ultimate insult. In the arcade and most ports, on floor 59, the final boss,
Yeah.
there's a fatal bug. If you stand against the far left wall and Druaga or a ghost clips into that wall, moving up or down can just reset the entire system
No.
back to the title screen. after all that work.
So you could lose the entire game, not to the boss, but to a glitch. That is the most Druaga thing I have ever heard.
So when you look back at his legacy, it's just this massive contradiction.
For sure.
Yeah.
But you have to give credit to the music. Junko Ozawa's score was incredible.
Oh, absolutely. Having 5 different BGM tracks plus a unique boss theme in 1984, that was unheard of. It set a new standard.
And it really did pioneer that blend of action and RPG mechanics with this deep mythological world.
It was trying to be something brand new.
Yeah.
But the question always comes back to, was it actually a good game?
And the consensus seems to be it's complicated.
Very. The sources all agree that Druaga is a masterpiece because of the social event it created. The note sharing, the community, the struggle.
But if you judge it just as a standalone video game,
It's a problem child. The no-hint design is just fundamentally unreasonable by today's standards.
so the magic was temporary.
Exactly. There's a great quote about it. The true charm of Druaga had a shelf life. The time until all the mysteries were solved was when the game was at its most fun. Once the answers were out, the adventure was kind of over.
Which leads to a final thought for you to think about. We know the FC version made the blue crystal rod useless for the final battle. The quest item was irrelevant. Yet, the developers added the impossibly hard Druaga mode to get a true ending. So here's the question. Was chasing that true ending really worth it? Or was the real prize always the mystery itself, that incredible shared struggle to find the answers in the first place?
The journey really was the destination for this one.
Will the game be fun tomorrow too? Have a nice game.